Okay, so that fruit, that love, that thing that we need to have, and really, and this is good too. I wasn't really going to hit on this much, but we'll hit it just for a second. So verse 18, John 15:18. If the world hates you, keep in mind it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you. Any of you ever hear people in the world or things around the world that it seems like they hate Christians?
Yes.
They hate followers of Christ? You know, there was recently some bombs went off in some church services that were Christian services. And you know what a lot of the news media has reported that those people were at those services? They were Christians. They didn't even report them as Christians. So you know what they called them? Easter worshipers. There was a bunch of Easter worshipers that were killed. And there were these Easter worshipers that were... What's an Easter worshiper?
Easter worshipers.
Easter worshipers. And there were political leaders in our country that, prior to that, not too long before that, there was an incident with some Muslims that were killed. And there were individuals like, you know, I don't want to say any names like Hillary Clinton or anything, but there were some people that would say things like, oh, our thoughts go out to Muslims everywhere when it happened to the Muslim community. But when it happened to the Christians, it was, oh, and we just want to support all religions everywhere. So they would single out and they would support the Muslims, but they wouldn't single out and support Christians. And it's and many of them, if you look, you can look it up and you'll see that a lot of them were like an Easter worshippers. And you're like, what does that even mean? What?
I guess they
Worshipped Easter? They were Christians. They were celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Even though they may not be of the same denomination or group of IMM, that's what they were doing. But yeah, it's just that overriding theme of, you know, the world hating believers. Now, if you're not focused on the Word of God, if you're not walking in justice and righteousness according to the Word of God, and you still call yourself a Christian, then the world's not going to be against you as much. If you're embracing certain things, there are whole denominations and groups splitting over homosexuality and all these types of things. And if they're embracing all this stuff and saying, oh yeah, well, we don't want to be against these things, then they're being accepted by the world. If the world accepts you, you're probably not following Christ very good.
Right. You're being lukewarm.
It's just the way it is. The world is not of God. The world has gone the way of the spirit of the power of the air, and a whole different idea and a whole different following, a whole different drumbeat, a whole different thing. And so if you're being embraced by the world, I can pretty much assure you, you're not doing a very good job following Christ. It is not the same as the world to follow Christ. And Jesus is like, okay, so for me, when I come into the world, and remember, Jesus didn't just come into the world, he came to his own.
Yes,
He stayed in with his own people, his own group, with the Jewish people, the ones that were looking for the Messiah, the ones that understood what he was supposed to be about, who he was, what he was supposed to be doing. All that came unto his own, and his own rejected him and killed him. How much more now us into the world? He sends us out as sheep among wolves. I mean, that's it. And then not only that, but then within the sheep, there are wolves in sheep's clothing sneaking in.
Yes,
and coming and trying to get us. So, yeah, the world is just totally against it. And Jesus is like, but hey, check it out. That's what they did to me. They're going to do it to you.